When they returned to Earth, everything had changed. News of the rescue mission had spread through the coalition. The story of humans infiltrating a Vex facility and saving 200 prisoners was being told across the galaxy. More importantly, the story of 3 Vex defectors was causing chaos. Jiho spent 3 days in the underground facility's medical center. His concussion needed monitoring, but mostly he needed rest. The mission had exhausted him in ways he didn't fully understand. Taeyang visited him on the 2nd day. He looked better. Still thin, but his eyes were clear and focused. "You came for me," Taeyang said. He sat in the chair next to Jiho's bed. "Of course I did," Jiho said. "You're my friend." "I thought I was going to die there," Taeyang said quietly. "They kept asking me questions, testing my mind, trying to find a way to break through human immunity. Every day I hoped someone would come. And you did." "We did," Jiho corrected. "It was a team effort." "Hyun told me you ran toward danger to shut down the shields," Taeyang said. "That's not a team effort. That's heroism." Jiho felt uncomfortable with that word. "I just did what needed to be done." They talked for a while about what came next. Taeyang would need therapy to deal with what he'd experienced. The other prisoners too, but they were safe now. That was what mattered. On the 4th day, Jiho was cleared to leave the medical center. Nari was waiting outside to escort him. "You're popular," she said. "Director Yuna wants to see you. So does the coalition leadership. And the United Nations. The UN?" Jiho asked. "Things are moving fast," Nari said. "The world governments are meeting to decide what to do about the truth, about revealing everything to the public." They walked through the facility together. Jiho noticed people staring at him. Some nodded respectfully. Others whispered. He'd become famous without meaning to. Director Yuna met them in her office. She looked tired but pleased. "Jiho," she said. "How are you feeling?" "Better," Jiho said. "What's happening?" Yuna pulled up a holographic display. It showed news feeds from around the world. "The rescue mission changed the timeline," she said. "We can't keep the truth secret anymore. Too many people are asking questions. The prisoners have families. They're demanding answers." "So you're going to tell everyone?" Jiho asked. "We're going to have to," Yuna said. "The UN is meeting in 3 days to make an official announcement. They want you to testify." "Me?" Jiho felt panic rising. "I'm not a politician. I'm just an engineer." "You're the human who proved we matter," Yuna said. "You showed the galaxy that humans can make a difference. People need to hear that story from you." Over the next 3 days, Jiho prepared for the biggest moment of his life. He met with counselors who helped him organize his thoughts. He practiced speaking in front of cameras. He tried not to think about the fact that billions of people would be watching. Nari stayed with him through all of it. She helped him prepare. She listened when he needed to talk. She was there. "Are you scared?" she asked the night before his testimony. "Terrified," Jiho admitted. They were in the facility's observation deck again, looking at the stars. "I'm going to tell the whole world that aliens are real, that we've been lied to for 50 years, that we're at the center of a galactic conflict." "You're going to tell them the truth," Nari corrected. "That's what matters. What if they panic?" Jiho asked. "They might," Nari said. "But humans are resilient. You always find a way to adapt." "You have a lot of faith in us," Jiho said. "I have faith in you," Nari said. She looked at him directly. "You changed my life, Jiho. Before I met you, I thought I understood humans. I thought you were just assets to protect, but you showed me something different." "What's that?" Jiho asked. "That duty can become choice," Nari said. "That protecting you stopped being an assignment and started being something I wanted to do. Something I needed to do." Jiho's heart was beating faster. "Nari, what are you saying?" "I'm saying that I care about you," Nari said. "Not as an asset. Not as a mission. As a person. As someone who matters to me." Jiho reached out and took her hand. Her blue skin was warm under his fingers. "I care about you too," he said. "I think I have for a while now." They stood there holding hands, looking at the stars. 2 different species, 2 different worlds. But somehow it worked. The next day, Jiho stood before the United Nations Security Council. The room was massive, filled with representatives from every nation on Earth. Cameras covered every angle. The whole world was watching. Director Yuna introduced him. Then it was his turn to speak. "My name is Jiho Kim," he began. His voice shook slightly, but he kept going. 3 months ago, I was a normal engineer living in Seoul. I worried about normal things. Work, bills, what to eat for dinner. Then one morning, I woke up to find my new assistant sitting on top of me. She told me that aliens were real, that humanity was being hunted, that everything I thought I knew about the world was wrong. He paused, letting that sink in. She was telling the truth, Jiho continued. Aliens are real. They've been living among us for 50 years. Some of them are here to protect us. Others want to destroy us. And the reason why is simple. Humans are special. We have an ability that no other species in the galaxy possesses. We're immune to psychic control. He explained everything. The Galactic Coalition, the Vex threat, the rescue mission to Europa. He showed them footage of the prisoners they'd saved. He introduced the 3 Vex defectors who wanted asylum on Earth. The galaxy is afraid of us, Jiho said. Not because we're violent. Not because we're powerful. But because we're free. We think independently. We make our own choices, and that's threatening to species who rely on psychic networks to control their populations. The room was completely silent. Everyone was listening. Now you have a choice to make, Jiho said. Our governments have been negotiating with the Galactic Coalition for 50 years. They've been preparing for this moment. The question is, what kind of relationship does Earth want with the galaxy? We could isolate ourselves, Jiho continued. Build defenses. Hide from the galaxy and hope they leave us alone. That's the safe choice, the careful choice. Or we could join them, Jiho said. We could use our unique abilities to help. To free species that are trapped by psychic control. To show the galaxy that individual freedom matters. That diversity of thought makes everyone stronger. He took a deep breath. I'm just an engineer, Jiho said. But I've seen things most people can't imagine. I've seen humans and aliens working together. I've seen the good we can do when we choose to help instead of hide. I've seen 3 Vex soldiers abandon everything they knew because we showed them what freedom looks like. So my recommendation is this, Jiho said. Join the coalition, but do it on our terms. Share our immunity research freely with all species. Offer to help free those who are enslaved by psychic networks. Become teachers and mediators instead of soldiers. Show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our immunity, it's our compassion. He finished speaking. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Then the entire room erupted in applause. The next 3 months were chaotic. The UN voted to join the Galactic Coalition officially. Earth's governments began the slow process of revealing the truth to everyone. It went better than expected. There was fear and confusion, but also excitement. Humanity was part of something bigger now. The 3 Vex defectors settled in a research facility where Minji worked. They were learning to live without the hive mind. It was difficult for them. They'd never been alone in their own thoughts before. But they were trying. And Minji was helping them understand what freedom meant. Taeyang recovered fully. He went back to engineering work, but now he was designing technology for the coalition. He and Jiho worked together often, just like before. Except now they knew the truth about the galaxy. Hyun and Doyun became trainers for a new program. Earth was creating teams of humans who could operate in areas where psychic species couldn't. Not soldiers. Peacekeepers and rescue specialists. People who could help when the network failed. And Jiho? He was offered a position heading the Human-Alien Integration Institute. It was a new organization designed to help humans and aliens understand each other. To build bridges between species, he accepted. But he had one condition. I want Nari as my co-director, he told Director Yuna. Yuna smiled. I think that can be arranged. But you should know, she's been offered a position too. First Talveen ambassador to Earth, it's a huge honor for her people. Then she should take it, Jiho said, and we'll figure out how to make both jobs work. Nari did accept the ambassador position. And they did figure it out. The Integration Institute and the Talveen Embassy worked closely together anyway. It made sense for them to coordinate. It also gave Jiho and Nari an excuse to see each other every day. 5 months after the Europa mission, they went on their first official date. Not as protector and protected, not as colleagues, but as 2 people who cared about each other. They went to a quiet restaurant in Seoul. Nari wore her human form, but Jiho asked her to show her true self. She was hesitant at first. But in the private dining room, she let her disguise drop. Her blue skin and glowing patterns drew a few stares from the staff. But nobody said anything negative. The world was adjusting to the new reality. This is strange, Nari said, looking at the menu. Dating, Talveen don't really do this. 6 hours, she said. I'll see you at the ship. After she left, Jiho sat on his bed and stared at his. The ship was smaller than Jiho expected. It looked like a smooth teardrop made of dark metal. Inside, there were seats for the team and equipment storage. The Talveen pilot was a quiet individual who nodded at them but didn't speak. Jiho sat between Minji and Doyun. Hyun was across from them, checking weapons. Nari and Sora stood near the back with 3 other Talveen operatives. They would stay with the ship and provide backup if needed. How long is the flight? Jiho asked. 14 hours, the pilot said. Get comfortable. The ship lifted off smoothly. Jiho felt a slight pressure, then nothing. They were in space, moving toward Jupiter and its moons. He looked out a small window and saw Earth getting smaller. It looked so peaceful from up here. So beautiful and blue. Hard to believe it's at the center of a war, Minji said quietly. Not a war yet, Hyun corrected, but it could become one. During the flight, Jiho tried to rest, but his mind kept racing. He thought about Taiyang. He thought about the 200 prisoners they were trying to rescue. He thought about Nari and the promise he'd made to come back. Nari sat down next to him after a few hours. Can't sleep? She asked. Too nervous, Jiho admitted. That's normal, Nari said. Even experienced soldiers get nervous before missions. How do you handle it? Jiho asked. I focus on what I can control, Nari said. I check my equipment. I review the plan. I remind myself why the mission matters, and does that work? Jiho asked. Sometimes, Nari said with a small smile. They talked quietly while the others rested. Nari told him about Talveen culture, about their homeworld which was now mostly empty because so many had left to serve in the coalition, about their belief that service to others gave life meaning. We have a saying, Nari said, a life lived for yourself is half a life. A life lived for others is complete. That's beautiful, Jiho said. It's also exhausting, Nari admitted. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to just exist, to not have duty and honor weighing on me constantly. Is that why you like being around humans? Jiho asked. Because we're selfish? Because you're free, Nari corrected. You choose what to do with your lives. Even now, even on this mission, you chose to be here. Nobody forced you. What about you? Jiho asked. Did you choose this? Nari thought about it. I chose to volunteer after Taeyang was taken. But the life I live? I was raised into it. All Talveen are. Maybe after this is over, Jiho said. You could try choosing something different. Nari looked at him for a long moment. Maybe, she said softly. Europa appeared outside the window after many hours. It looked like a giant ball of ice covered in cracks and strange patterns. Jupiter loomed behind it, massive and beautiful. Beginning descent, the pilot said. Stay quiet. We're entering scanning range. The ship dropped through space toward Europa's surface. Jiho held his breath, waiting for alarms or attacks, but nothing happened. The psychic shields held. To the Vex sensors, they were invisible. They landed on the ice with barely a sound. Outside, the surface was white and empty. The sun was far away, making everything dim and cold. Temperature outside is minus 170 degrees, Sora said. Your suits will protect you, but don't stay out longer than necessary. Hyun stood up. All right, we drill through the ice, enter the facility through their water system, and move fast. Minji, you find their research data. Jiho, you work on getting the shields down so we can evacuate prisoners. Doyun and I will handle any guards. What if things go wrong? Minji asked. Then we improvise, Hyun said simply. They put on special suits that protected them from the cold and provided air. The Talveen started the drilling equipment. It was a large machine that used heat and pressure to cut through ice. Nari checked Jiho's suit carefully. Remember, she said, stay with the team. Don't try to be a hero. I thought heroes were good, Jiho said. Dead heroes can't save anyone, Nari said firmly. Stay alive. That's the priority. The drilling took exactly 6 hours, just like Yuna had predicted. They cut a tunnel down through the ice until they reached liquid water. The facility pulled water from Europa's underground ocean for processing. That was their way in. This is it, Hyun said. Once we're inside, communications might get difficult. Stick to the plan. Good luck. One by one, they dropped into the water. It was dark and cold even through the suits. Jiho followed Doyun swimming through the tunnel. His heart pounded in his chest. They found the intake pipes after 10 minutes of swimming. The pipes were large enough to fit through. They pulled themselves inside and climbed up. Eventually, they reached a maintenance area inside the facility. Hyun held up a hand. Everyone stopped. He listened carefully, then nodded. They were clear. They removed their helmets but kept the suits on. The air inside the facility was breathable but smelled strange, chemical and sharp. The maintenance area was empty. Metal walls surrounded them, covered in strange symbols that Jiho couldn't read. Minji pulled out a scanner and checked for guards. 3 Vex soldiers 2 floors up, she whispered. Nothing on this level. They moved through the facility like shadows. Hyun led the way, his weapon ready. Doyeon covered the rear. Jiho stayed in the middle with Minji, trying not to make noise. The facility was bigger than Jiho expected. Corridors stretched in every direction. Rooms filled with equipment and technology, but it was the cells that made him stop breathing. They were behind glass walls. Inside each cell was a human. Some were asleep. Others sat staring at nothing. They looked thin and tired, broken. Stay focused, Hyun whispered. We'll get them out. But first we need to complete our objectives. Jiho forced himself to keep moving, but his hands were shaking now. Not from fear. From anger. They found the research lab on the 3rd floor. It was a large room filled with screens and equipment. Strange devices hung from the ceiling. And in the center, strapped to examination tables, were 3 humans. One of them was Taeyang. Jiho almost ran forward, but Doyeon grabbed his arm. Wait, Doyeon whispered. Check for guards first. Hyun moved into the room carefully. He checked behind the equipment and in the corners. Clear, he said finally. Jiho rushed to Taeyang's table. His friend was unconscious but breathing. Strange wires were attached to his head. Monitors showed his brain activity. He's alive, Jiho said. Relief flooded through him. Help me with these straps, Minji said. She was freeing one of the other prisoners, a young woman. They worked quickly, releasing all 3 prisoners. Taeyang stirred as they removed the wires from his head. His eyes opened slowly. Jiho, he whispered. His voice was rough, like he hadn't used it in a long time. I'm here, Jiho said. We're getting you out. Can't, Taeyang mumbled. They'll know. They always know. Not this time, Jiho said. We're invisible to them. Minji was working at one of the computers. I'm downloading their research data, she said. Give me 2 minutes. Hyun stood by the door, watching the corridor. Doyeon helped the other prisoners stand. They were weak and confused. Then alarms started blaring. What happened? Hyun demanded. I don't know, Minji said. I didn't trigger anything. One of the freed prisoners, the young woman, looked terrified. They have backup systems, she said. Physical sensors. They learned to use them because they couldn't detect us psychically. We need to move now, Hyun said. They helped the 3 prisoners toward the door, but Vex soldiers were already coming. Jiho could hear their clicking sounds like giant insects. There's too many, Doyeon said. He was looking at his scanner. 20 soldiers between us and the exit. The shield generator, Jiho said suddenly. Where is it? Minji checked her scanner. 4th floor. But Jiho, that's the opposite direction. If I can shut down the shields, the Talveen can help us, Jiho said. They can fight the Vex and help evacuate the prisoners. You'll be alone, Hyun said. We can't split up. You need to get these people out, Jiho said. He looked at Taeyang, who could barely stand. I can do this. It's just engineering, Hyun hesitated. Then he nodded. 5 minutes. If those shields aren't down in 5 minutes, we're coming for you anyway. Deal, Jiho said. He ran in the opposite direction, away from the team. His heart was pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He could hear Vex soldiers behind him, but he didn't look back. He just ran. The 4th floor was up 2 sets of stairs. Jiho took them as fast as he could. His legs burned. His lungs ached, but he kept going. The shield generator room was exactly where Minji said it would be. It was a large chamber filled with humming equipment. Strange lights pulsed in patterns, and in the center was a massive device that looked like a sphere made of energy. Jiho approached it carefully. His engineering training kicked in. He studied the connections, the power flow, the control systems. It was alien technology, but the principles were universal. Everything needed power. Everything had controls. He found what looked like a main power conduit. It was thick cable running from the generator to the ceiling. If he could cut that, the shields would fail. He pulled out a tool from his suit and started working. Behind him, he could hear Vex soldiers entering the room. He didn't turn around. He just focused on the cable. Stop, a voice said. It was mechanical, translated through some kind of device. "You are human. You should not be here." "I'm exactly where I need to be," Jiho said. He kept working. "You do not understand," the Vex said. "We are saving you." The training started the next morning. Jiho woke up in a small room inside the underground facility. It was simple but comfortable. He got dressed and found Nari waiting outside his door. "Ready?" she asked. "No," Jiho admitted. "But let's go anyway." She led him to a large training area. It looked like a gymnasium, but the equipment was strange. Some machines glowed with energy. Others seemed to float in the air. A group of people were already there, waiting. "This is the team," Nari said. A tall man stepped forward. He had military bearing and a serious expression. "I'm Hyun Choi," he said. "You met me briefly. I was the security guard at your building." "You're not really a security guard," Jiho said. "I was Coalition Special Operations for 15 years, Hyun said. "Now I train humans for missions like this. If we're going to Europa, you need to be ready." Next to Hyun was a woman about Jiho's age. She wore glasses and had an intelligent look in her eyes. "I'm Minji Bae," she said. "I'm a neuroscientist. I study human immunity to psychic control." "Why is a scientist coming on a combat mission?" Jiho asked. "Because we need to understand what the Vex are doing to the prisoners," Minji said. "And because I can identify their research equipment. If we find their data, I can copy it." The last person in the group was younger than Jiho expected. He looked barely 20, but his eyes were hard like he'd seen difficult things. "Doyeon Lee," the young man said. "Former Korean Special Forces. I volunteered for coalition service 2 years ago." "You know about the aliens?" Jiho asked. "I found out the hard way," Doyeon said. "I was on a mission that went wrong. The Talveen saved my life. After that, they told me the truth. I've been working with them ever since." Sora entered the training area with several other Talveen. "We'll be providing support," she said. "But we can't enter the psychic barriers around the facility. Once you're inside, you'll be on your own." Hyun clapped his hands. "All right. We have 2 weeks to get ready. That's not much time, but it'll have to do. Jiho, Minji, you're the least experienced. That means you work twice as hard." The training was brutal. Hyun taught them how to move quietly, how to handle weapons, how to work as a team. Jiho's muscles ached every day. He fell asleep exhausted and woke up sore, but he kept pushing. During breaks, he talked with the others. Minji told him about her research. "Human brains emit a specific frequency," she explained one day. They were sitting in the facility's cafeteria, eating lunch. "It's like a signal that disrupts psychic connections. Most humans don't know they're doing it. It's just natural. Can we control it?" Jiho asked. "That's what I'm trying to find out," Minji said. "If we could amplify the signal, we might be able to create larger dead zones, areas where psychic species can't operate at all." "Like my shielding technology," Jiho said. "Exactly. Your engineering work was actually following the same principle. You just didn't know why it worked." Nari often watched the training sessions. During one break, Jiho sat down next to her. "You don't have to stay," he said. "I'm sure you have other duties." "My duty is protecting you," Nari said. "I thought your duty was observing me," Jiho said. "That's different from protection." Nari was quiet for a moment. "It started as observation," she admitted. "But things changed. When?" Jiho asked. "When I realized you're not just a high-value asset," Nari said. She looked at him directly. "You're a good person. You care about your friend. You're willing to risk your life to help strangers. That's rare, Jiho, even among humans." "What happened with Taeyang?" Jiho asked. "You said you were assigned to protect him too." Nari's expression darkened. "I was too far away when they took him. He was at a conference. I was outside the building. The Vex moved faster than we expected. By the time I got inside, he was gone." "That's not your fault," Jiho said. "It's exactly my fault," Nari said. "I was responsible for his safety." "I failed. Then help me succeed," Jiho said. "Help me bring him home." Nari nodded slowly. "I will. I promise." As the days passed, Jiho learned more about the galaxy. Yuna held regular briefings to educate the team. "The Galactic Coalition includes over 300 species," she explained one evening. They were in a classroom looking at a star map. "Most of them are psychic. They communicate through something called the network. It's like the internet, but made of thoughts instead of data. And humans can't access it," Minji said. "Correct," Yuna said. "But there are advantages to that. Psychic species share everything. They have no privacy, no secrets. They're efficient, but they're also vulnerable. If someone hacks the network, they can control millions of minds at once. Has that happened? Doyen asked. Several times, Yuna said. It's one reason the Coalition values humans. You can't be hacked. You can't be controlled. In situations where the network is compromised, humans can still operate independently. What about the Talveen? Jiho asked. Nari and Sora, are they psychic? Yes, Yuna said. But they're different. Talveen psychic abilities are weaker than most species. They can sense emotions and share surface thoughts, but they can't control minds or connect to the network fully. That's actually why they volunteered to protect humans. I don't understand, Jiho said. Yuna pulled up an image of a Talveen in their true form. They looked similar to humans, but with blue skin and strange patterns. Talveen culture values honor and duty above all else. But they're dying out. Their weak psychic abilities make them inferior in a galaxy dominated by the network. They see humans as hope. Hope for what? Minji asked. Hope that psychic power isn't everything, Yuna said. Hope that individual thought and free will still matter. If humans can succeed without psychic abilities, it proves the Talveen way of life has value too. That night, Jiho couldn't sleep. He went to the facility's observation deck. It was a room with a large window that somehow showed the sky above ground, even though they were deep underground. He stared at the stars. Nari found him there. Thinking about the mission? She asked. Thinking about everything, Jiho said. A month ago, I was just an engineer. I worried about deadlines and bills. Now I'm training to infiltrate an alien base on one of Jupiter's moons. Regret volunteering? Nari asked. No, Jiho said. But I'm scared. I'm not a soldier. I'm not brave like Hyun or Doyen. Bravery isn't about not being scared, Nari said. She stood next to him, looking at the stars. It's about being scared and doing the right thing anyway. Is that a human concept or a Talveen one? Jiho asked. Both, Nari said. Some things are universal. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Jiho asked, What's your real form? You always look human around me. Nari hesitated. Would you like to see? Yes, Jiho said. Nari closed her eyes. Her skin began to shimmer. The change was gradual and beautiful. Her skin turned a soft blue. Patterns appeared across her face and arms, glowing faintly like circuitry. Her eyes became larger, more expressive. She was still recognizably herself, but also clearly not human. You're beautiful, Jiho said without thinking. Nari smiled. Thank you. Most humans find our true forms unsettling. I'm not most humans, Jiho said. No, Nari agreed. You're not. 2 weeks later, the team gathered for a final briefing. Yuna stood at the front of the room with a holographic display showing Europa. Intelligence confirms the facility is here, she said, pointing to a location on the moon's icy surface. It's underground beneath 3 kilometers of ice. The Vex chose this location because it's isolated and easy to defend. How do we get inside? Hyun asked. We have a ship that can land without being detected, Sora said. It uses technology based on Jiho's shielding designs. The ship itself will be invisible to psychic scanning. Once we land, we'll have to drill through the ice, Yuna continued. That will take approximately 6 hours. Then you'll enter the facility through their water intake system. What about guards? Doyen asked. The facility has approximately 200 Vex soldiers, Yuna said, but they rely heavily on psychic detection. They're not expecting an attack from beings they can't sense. Minji raised her hand. What about the prisoners? How many are we looking at? Our best estimate is 200 humans, Yuna said quietly. Maybe more. The facility has been operating for 8 months. Jiho felt sick. 200 people. 200 people like Taeyang being experimented on. We leave in 6 hours, Hyun said. Get your gear ready. Rest if you can. This is going to be dangerous. The team dispersed. Jiho went back to his room to pack. There wasn't much to bring. A weapon he barely knew how to use. Some basic equipment. A communicator. There was a knock on his door. It was Nari. Can I come in? She asked. Of course, Jiho said. Nari entered and closed the door behind her. She looked worried. I want you to reconsider, she said. You don't have to do this. You're not a soldier. We've had this conversation, Jiho said. I know, Nari said. But I'm scared, Jiho. I'm scared that I'll fail to protect you like I failed Taeyang. Jiho took her hands. You're not failing anyone. You're helping me do something important, something that matters. You matter, Nari said quietly. So do those prisoners, Jiho said. So does Taeyang. I have to try. Nari pulled him into a hug. It surprised him, but he hugged her back. She was warm and solid and real. "Come back," she whispered. "Please come back." "I will," Jiho promised. "I'm not done being protected by you yet." When she pulled away, she was back in her human form. But Jiho thought he could still see traces of blue in her eyes. Jiho packed a small bag while Nari watched the windows. She held that strange stone device in her hand, checking it every few seconds. The holographic display showed patterns that Jiho couldn't understand. "How long will I be gone?" he asked, throwing clothes into his backpack. "Hard to say," Nari replied. "Could be a few days. Could be longer." There was a soft knock at the door. 3 short taps, then 2 longer ones. Nari relaxed slightly. "That's Sora," she said. She opened the door and another woman stepped inside. Sora looked completely different from Nari. She was taller, with short hair and sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. She nodded at Jiho. "This is the engineer?" Sora asked. "Jiho Kim," Nari said. "He knows the basics now." Sora studied him for a moment. Then she held up her hand the same way Nari had done. Her skin shimmered and changed, showing the same blue color and strange patterns underneath. "Both of us are Talveen," Sora said. "We work together. I've been monitoring the building's lower floors while Nari stayed close to you." "How many people in this building are being protected?" Jiho asked. 47, Sora said. "This building was chosen specifically because it houses multiple high-value humans. Engineers, scientists, doctors, artists. People whose work matters. Artists?" Jiho was surprised. "Creativity is rare in the galaxy," Nari explained. "Most advanced species rely on psychic networks for communication and ideas. They share thoughts directly. It makes them efficient but similar. Humans create unique things because you think independently." Sora moved to the window and looked down at the street. "We need to move soon. The scanner passed, but it will loop back in about 30 minutes. They're searching in a pattern." "Where are we going?" Jiho asked. "Underground facility," Sora said. "It's shielded from all scanning technology. You'll be safe there while we figure out what to do next." They left the apartment 5 minutes later. Sora went first, checking the hallway. Nari stayed close to Jiho. They took the stairs instead of the elevator. Jiho's building had 20 floors, and his legs were burning by the time they reached the ground level. In the lobby, they passed the security desk. The guard on duty was a man named Hyun. He was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and a serious face. He'd worked in the building for as long as Jiho had lived there. Hyun looked up as they passed. His eyes met Nari's for just a second. He gave a tiny nod. "Wait," Jiho stopped. "Hyun too?" "Not Talveen," Nari said quietly. "Human, but he works with us. He used to be Coalition military." "Coalition?" Jiho followed them out onto the street. "The Galactic Coalition," Sora explained. "It's like the United Nations, but for space. Hundreds of species working together. Earth joined 50 years ago, but most humans don't know it yet." A black car was waiting at the curb. The windows were tinted dark. Sora opened the back door and gestured for Jiho to get in. He climbed inside and Nari slid in next to him. Sora got in the front passenger seat. The driver was another Talveen, though this one didn't introduce himself. As they drove through Seoul's morning traffic, Jiho stared out the window. Everything looked normal. People walked to work. Students headed to school. Street vendors sold breakfast food. Nobody knew that aliens were real. Nobody knew that humanity was being hunted. "You said humans are immune to psychic control," Jiho said. "What does that actually mean?" Nari turned to face him. "Most intelligent species in the galaxy are psychic. They can read thoughts, share ideas directly, and influence each other's minds. It's how they communicate. It's how they organize their societies. And humans can't do that," Jiho said. "Correct," Nari said. "But it's more than that. Humans can't be controlled either. If a Vex tries to read your mind, they get nothing. If they try to make you obey a command, it doesn't work. Your brains are completely closed to psychic influence." "That sounds useful," Jiho said. "It's more than useful," Sora said from the front seat. "It's revolutionary. Imagine if everyone could read your thoughts except for one group of people. Those people could keep secrets. They could plan without being detected. They could operate in areas where psychic species can't." "So we're like spies?" Jiho asked. "You're like ghosts," Nari said. "To psychic species, humans are invisible in the ways that matter most. That's why the Coalition has been protecting Earth. They need humans, but it's also why the Vex want to destroy you." The car turned down a ramp that led underground. They went down several levels past normal parking areas. until they reached a section that looked different. The walls were smooth metal. Strange lights glowed along the ceiling. Armed guards stood at a checkpoint. The guards waved them through after checking Sora's device. They drove deeper underground until they reached a massive door. It looked like something from a science fiction movie. The door slid open silently and they drove into a huge underground facility. Jiho stared in amazement. The space was enormous. He could see buildings inside the cavern, vehicles moving on roads, and hundreds of people walking around. Some looked human. Others clearly weren't. "Welcome to Sanctuary 7, Nari said. One of Earth's hidden coalition bases. They parked and got out of the car. Jiho followed Nari through the underground facility, trying not to stare at everything. He saw creatures with blue skin and extra arms. He saw beings made of what looked like living crystal. He saw technology that he couldn't even begin to understand. "How long has this been here?" he asked. 40 years, Sora said. It was one of the first facilities built after Earth joined the coalition. They entered a building that looked like a medical center. Inside, a human woman was waiting for them. She wore a white coat and had an official-looking badge. She smiled when she saw Jiho. "Mr. Kim," she said. "I'm Director Yuna Shin. I oversee human-alien relations for this sector. Thank you for coming." "I didn't have much choice," Jiho said. "I know this is overwhelming," Yuna said. "Please sit down. We have a lot to discuss." She led them to a conference room. On the wall was a large screen showing information and images. Jiho sat down and Nari took the seat next to him. Sora stood by the door. "Let me explain what's happening," Yuna said. She pressed a button and the screen changed. It showed an image of Earth from space. 50 years ago, humanity made first contact with the Galactic Coalition. Our governments agreed to a slow integration process. We didn't want to cause panic. "So you lied to everyone," Jiho said. "We delayed the truth," Yuna corrected. "There's a difference. We've been preparing humanity gradually, introducing alien technology slowly, getting ready for the day when we reveal everything." "And when is that day?" Jiho asked. "Soon," Yuna said. "But the Vex discovery has complicated things. 6 months ago, information about human immunity leaked. Several hostile factions learned the truth. Now they're trying to either control Earth or destroy it before humans realize their strategic value." The screen changed again. It showed a strange creature. It looked almost insect-like with multiple eyes and sharp angles. "This is a Vex," Yuna said. "They're a hive mind species. Every Vex is connected to all other Vex through psychic links. They share thoughts instantly. They coordinate perfectly, and they see humans as a threat to their way of life." "Why?" Jiho asked. "Because you can't be added to the hive," Nari explained. "Vex survive by assimilating other species into their collective. But they can't assimilate humans. Your immunity prevents it. To them, you're a disease that could spread." "What do they want?" Jiho asked. "To eliminate humanity before you become too powerful," Yuna said quietly. "They've been abducting humans for research, trying to understand your immunity, trying to find a way to break it or copy it." Jiho thought about Taiyang, his friend who had disappeared. "The people they take. What happens to them?" The room went quiet. Nari looked away. Sora's expression hardened. "We don't know exactly," Yuna said carefully. "We've recovered some prisoners. They were being studied, tested. The Vex want to understand human neurology." "Are they alive?" Jiho pressed. "The ones you haven't recovered?" "Some of them," Yuna said. "We have intelligence suggesting there's a facility on Europa. That's one of Jupiter's moons. We believe that's where they're keeping most of the human prisoners." Jiho stood up suddenly. "Then why aren't we rescuing them?" "It's not that simple," Yuna said. "The facility is inside Vex territory. It's protected by psychic barriers. Any ship or soldier approaching gets detected immediately. We've lost 3 rescue teams already." "But humans could get through," Jiho said. "You said we're invisible to psychic scanning." Yuna and Nari exchanged a look. "That's correct," Yuna said slowly. "Humans could potentially infiltrate the facility undetected. But we don't have trained soldiers who know the truth. And we can't send civilians on a military mission." "Then train me," Jiho said. Everyone stared at him. "You're an engineer," Sora said, "not a soldier." "I'm an engineer who just learned that his friend is being tortured by aliens," Jiho said. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "I'm an engineer who apparently has abilities that could save people. So train me, use me. I want to help." Nari touched his arm gently. "Jiho, you don't understand what you're asking." Then explain it to me, he said. Explain everything. Because I'm not going to hide underground while people like Taeyang suffer. That's not who I am. Yuna studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled slightly. All right, Mr. Kim, she said. Let's talk about what comes next. Jiho opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling of his bedroom looked the same as always. Gray light came through the window. It was early morning in Seoul. He started to stretch his arms, but something was wrong. There was weight on his chest. He looked down and his heart jumped. A woman was sitting on top of him, her hand pressed firmly against his chest. It was Nari, the new household assistant he had hired just 3 days ago. Her eyes were different. They glowed with a strange silver light. Don't move, she whispered. Her voice was urgent but quiet. Don't breathe heavily. Stay completely still. Jiho's mind raced. What was happening? Should he push her off? Should he scream? But something in her eyes made him freeze. She looked terrified. There's a scanner passing over the building, Nari said. Her hand pressed harder against his chest. If you move, if your heart rate spikes, they'll detect you. What are you talking about? Jiho tried to keep his voice calm. Get off me right now or I'm calling the police. The police can't help you. Nari's eyes flickered toward the window. The Vex are hunting. They're looking for humans like you. If they find you, you'll disappear just like Taeyang did. Jiho went cold. Taeyang Park was his colleague at the engineering firm. 3 weeks ago, Taeyang had simply vanished. No goodbye. The police said he probably left the country, but his family insisted something was wrong. How do you know about Taeyang? Jiho asked. Because I was assigned to protect him too, Nari said. Her voice cracked slightly. I failed. I won't fail again. The silver light in her eyes grew brighter. Jiho could feel heat coming from her hand. It spread across his chest like warm water. The sensation was strange but not unpleasant. What are you? He whispered. Not human, Nari admitted. I'm Talveen. My people have been living among yours for 50 years. We're here to protect you. Jiho wanted to laugh. This had to be a joke. Aliens' protection. But the heat from her hand was real. The glowing eyes were real. And deep down he knew the fear in her voice was real too. Why do I need protection? He asked. Because humans are special, Nari said. Your minds work differently than any other species in the galaxy. You're immune to psychic control. That makes you incredibly valuable, and incredibly dangerous. The heat from her hand suddenly stopped. The silver light faded from her eyes. She took a deep breath and climbed off him quickly. It's past, she said. The scanner is gone. You're safe for now. Jiho sat up in bed. His heart was pounding now. He looked at Nari carefully. She looked completely human. Korean features, dark hair pulled back in a simple style, wearing the same plain clothes she'd worn yesterday. Nothing about her seemed alien. Prove it, he said. Prove you're not human, Nari sighed. She held up her hand. Jiho watched as her fingers began to shimmer. The skin rippled like water. Her hand changed color, turning a pale blue. Strange patterns appeared on her skin like circuit boards under glass. Then, just as quickly, her hand returned to normal. We can change our appearance, she explained. It's how we blend in. Most of the service workers in this city are like me. Talveen operatives assigned to protect high-value humans. High value? Jiho stood up from the bed. I'm just an engineer. I work on boring technology integration projects. Why would anyone want to hunt me? Your boring projects aren't boring to the Vex, Nari said. She walked to his desk and picked up his tablet. She pulled up his recent work files. Look at this. You've been designing new shielding technology for communications equipment. So what? Jiho crossed his arms. It's just signal protection. It's protection against psychic scanning, Nari said. You didn't know it, but you've created something that can block the Vex from reading minds. If they realize what you've made, they'll either kill you or take you. Jiho felt dizzy. This was too much. Yesterday, his biggest worry was meeting his project deadline. Now some woman was telling him he was being hunted by aliens. I need coffee, he muttered. I'll make it, Nari said. She moved toward his kitchen like she'd been there 100 times. We need to talk about what happens next. Jiho followed her. His apartment was small but comfortable. It was on the 15th floor of a decent building in the business district. Through his window, he could see the massive towers of Seoul stretching toward the sky. Somewhere out there in that normal-looking city, aliens were walking around pretending to be human. How many? He asked as Nari started the coffee maker. How many aliens are here? In Seoul? About 40,000 Talveen, she said. Across Earth? Maybe 2 million. We're the largest protection force, but there are other species too. Some work with us, some don't. And the Vex? The ones hunting us? They're relatively new, Nari said. She handed him a cup of coffee. The Galactic Coalition has kept humanity's immunity secret for decades. But information leaked 6 months ago. Now several hostile factions know the truth. The Vex are the most aggressive. They want to eliminate the threat before humans realize their own power. Jiho drank his coffee. It was perfect. Somehow that made everything worse. This alien woman knew exactly how he liked his coffee. You've been watching me for a while, haven't you? He asked. 3 months, Nari admitted. I was assigned after Taeyang disappeared. You worked together. We thought you might be next on their list. And were you going to tell me? Jiho felt anger rising in his chest. Or were you just going to keep pretending to be my assistant? The orders were to observe only, Nari said. Humans aren't supposed to know about the protection program. Your government's agreed to keep it secret. They think panic would cause chaos. My government knows about aliens and didn't tell anyone? Jiho set down his coffee cup hard. That's insane. It's politics, Nari said. And it's complicated. But things changed this morning. The Vex are getting bolder. That scanner shouldn't have come this close to a populated area. They're taking risks now, which means you're in more danger than before. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. It looked like a smooth stone, but when she pressed it, a holographic display appeared in the air. I've called for backup, she said. My partner Sora is coming, and we're going to move you to a safe location. I have work, Jiho protested. I can't just disappear. You will disappear if you stay here, Nari said firmly. One way or another. Either you come with me to safety, or the Vex will take you. Your choice. Jiho looked at her glowing holographic display. He looked at his normal apartment. He thought about Taeyang, his friend who had vanished without a trace. If I go with you, he said slowly, will you tell me everything? The whole truth about what's happening? Nari met his eyes. For the first time since he'd woken up, she smiled slightly. Everything, she promised. No more secrets. Jiho took a deep breath. His normal life was over. He could feel it. Everything was about to change. Okay, he said. I'll go with you. Outside the window, Seoul continued its morning routine. Millions of people went about their day completely unaware that aliens walked among them. Completely unaware that humanity was at the center of a galactic conflict. But Jiho knew now. And there was no going back.